So what you're doing today is you're going to be finding the of. Finding the of. The key to this week, you have a great opportunity to get another really good test score. Because what we're doing is writing proportions and then solving the proportion. And every proportion is over of equals percent over 100. Is over of equals percent over 100. On Monday, you found the percent. Yesterday, you found the is. Today, you're going to be finding the of. Okay? The question you'll see today is something like 20% of what number is 18? 20% of what number is 18? So you write your proportion. Is, here it is 18. Of what number? Your of is what you're trying to find. 20%. And it always goes over 100. So I always like to crisscross multiply the variable first. So your 20 times x is 20x. And you make that equal to 18 times 100, which is 1800. That's your crisscross multiply. So then you divide both sides by 20. The 20s cancel. And your x is equal to, is it 90? 90.
Yeah.
Now, please understand that this was the question, right? 20% of what number is 18? And that's how you set it up, and that's how you answer the question. That question can also be written as 18 is 20% of what number? Please understand that these two things are the same. All right? They both are asking the same question. It's just that the sentence is restructured. Same. These two are the same. 18 is 20% of what number? 20% of what number is 18? Does everybody see it? All right, here's your 18 is 18. They both have 20%. And both are asking the same question. Of what number? And of what number? Okay? Those are the same. Does anybody need to see another example of that setup? All right, you got 2 word problems to cover. You deposit $500. Let's make it $5,000 in the bank. And it earns 9% interest. How much will you have? How much money will you have after 3 years? That is the question. Now, can anybody tell me how to take that information and write it in the form of a question like the problem we just did? What are they asking you in this problem? They're asking you how much money you're going to have after 3 years. But how does this question relate to what we just did?
5,000 is 9%.
You're putting 5,000 in at 9% interest. Don't you want to know what is 9% of 5,000? Will that be how much interest you get each year? The question you're answering in this problem is, what is 9% of 5,000? You're trying to find out what is 9% of 5,000 because that's the amount of interest you'll make each year. When you answer that question, won't you multiply it by 3 to find out how much money you'll have after 3 years? You'll multiply the interest by 3, and then you'll add it to the 5,000. So if you do x over 5,000 equals 9 over 100, crisscross multiply. So 100x equals 5,000 times 9, 45,000. Divide both sides by 100. And your x is going to be equal to 450. Now, that's how much interest you'll earn in 1 year. The question is, how much money will you have after 3 years? Well, what you'll have after 3 years is your $5,000 plus 3 years of interest. So it'll be 5,000 plus 3 times your 450. So now look, this 450 is still sitting in your calculator. So push times 3, and that will multiply it times 3. And then hit plus 5,000. And hit equals. And what are you left with? 6,350. So that's how much money you'll have in the bank after 3 years at 9% simple interest. Okay? Now, what if they just asked you how much interest will you have earned after 3 years? How much interest will you have earned after 3 years in this same problem? Isn't this right here the interest? The 3 times 450? That's your interest. So if they change the question and say, how much interest will you have earned after 3 years? Well, that would be 1,350. If they ask how much money will you have, well, then you have to take your initial 5,000 and add the 1,300 of interest to it. Any questions? All right, on your handout, page 141. Today you are doing 23 through 30. And again, please show all your work and do it on a separate piece of paper. You're going to be able to use your notes on the quiz on Friday. So you're going to want to have those and not pass them in.